All right, hi everybody. This is Coach Dennis Stoika with Modern Art Warriors podcast. As always, an extremely amazing guest today. This is our 35th podcast. I have Evandro Nunes with us today, and we're going to be talking about destroying the lies, taking a stand, and helping martial artists become heroes. That is a pretty darn amazing. It's a lot to go over, I believe. And Evandro has I think, an amazing story. I bring people on, of course, always of like-mindedness. We might start changing that in the future to branch out a little bit, but in general, we brought on coaches, martial artists in Krav and Jiu-Jitsu or grappling arts, fitness, yoga, starting to bring in some doctors on health issues, things of that nature too, right? So this is what our community is, integrated warrior training. Evandro has an amazing story. He has had an epiphany of life, and he's gonna go over a lot of that today. And this is something that I guarantee crosses all martial arts. It's not just jujitsu or grappling. It is going to be issues in every organization, every association. So what's come to light for him, he wants to be able to share his stories, and he wants to be able to help in ways that in order to get you from kind of where you're at today to where you want to be in less time, helping you identify, helping him come out, saying it's okay. But he's the only one I know in the history of myself in martial arts since I've been a young kid till today that's kind of had this and is talking about this. Evandro. Who is Evandro? What is what we're gonna start too, like who are you? But I kind of want to know who you were before and who you are now. So please introduce yourself, who you are, kind of what you're doing, but then I want to take you back a little bit, right? We're gonna go back to before you came to the States as a kid a little bit and take you through a journey a little bit on so everyone understands who you are, the importance of you in jujitsu, and how eventually you can help them. Go for it.
Dennis, thank you for having everyone listening. Thank you for listening and giving me a chance to spread that in which I'm passionate about with you and your ears and your attention. And I deeply appreciate that more than anything. Brother, I am just like you and just like them. We are born with this courage to live life, and life is messy and life is beautiful. And then we swim on this ocean of life, and power structures are created, like you mentioned. And that's why I really appreciate it when you reach out to me, because you have this ability to see beyond jiu-jitsu. You're like, oh, this guy's talking in the jiu-jitsu community, but this is not even about jiu-jitsu. And I really appreciate that, because it shortcuts to the point of my message, which is to empower the individual over circumstances and over jiu-jitsu itself. So regarding who I am, brother, I just did a lot of jiu-jitsu, fought on the streets without jiu-jitsu for like 14, 15 years. And then I learned jiu-jitsu, kept fighting on the streets, channeled that to competition, came to America, did everything that you can imagine, competing wise, teaching wise. Man, I'm just very, very grateful to be able to have lived the jiu-jitsu dream. And I really believe that I touched everything that is inside the jiu-jitsu journey. I did, and I did a lot of it, and I did well. And that's when I realized, funny enough, to connect to your question, that the person that I found, that I became after going through the whole jiu-jitsu journey, was the same person that I was before entering it. And that's the unfair advantage. And that's why I'm here to share with you guys, because we're the same willingness to speak the truth and to try and to fight is the same thing that I found in the end, my brother.
And I'm going to challenge some of that though today too, as a coach too, right? Because as we do certain things, strategies, tools, and practices, things that I might give to someone in coaching, some of what we discussed already, visualization, journaling, things of this nature, how we become, setting goals, right? We are the same person, or it is us that's making decisions, but we do grow during life. we change during life. You've had some change during this process as well, right? Some
Hmm.
epiphany during the process as well, right? And so, what along with who you are with all that,
Hmm.
what was the original purpose and the passion behind the jujitsu, whether it's on the street fighting or getting to the states and sharing that wealth of knowledge too, right? What is the purpose and the passion, some principles maybe behind before coming to the states, and then sharing that knowledge? But and then I'm going to get back to these same questions with what you're currently doing, because it's a different Evandro, I think. Like, same person. You said it's you still, but it's some growth involved, right?
Definitely growth. And maybe I miscommunicated, but what is the
Yeah.
same is the values, is what I stand for, the reason why. That's what I found to be the same. But definitely, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm more capable physically, more capable mentally, more capable spiritually. Definitely, there's that growth. But the
Mhm.
essence of who I am and what I stand for, I
Yeah.
found to remain the same. And to your point, brother, I started jiu-jitsu. I wish I could have a prettier story to say, oh, I started jiu-jitsu because I'm passionate about the art, or I like improving myself, or I like helping others. That's not why I started. I started because there's street fights in Brazil and people are coming after me physically or emotionally. It's the eternal battle of oppressors
Mhm.
and oppressed. I was part of the oppressed, and I was like, I either bow out and don't say anything when I see evil things happening, or even with others, like I would just pretend I didn't see it. Oh, the guy did that with that girl. Oh, pretend I didn't see it. Oh, the guy did that with me. Oh, pretend I didn't see it. I had that path that I had to choose: either abiding and complying and not standing up, or fighting. And I chose fighting, even if that would lead to my own destruction. And I got beat up a lot, but and I won fights and I lost fights, and that's why I started. I was like, man, if I'm fighting for what is right, I really believe that my fighting still
Mhm.
values inside of my heart. So why am I only winning 50% of the fights and losing 50%? It doesn't make sense. And that's what led me to martial arts.
And I'd argue to say you're kind of fighting the fight now, where you're currently at too. Again, right? But just a different fight, just a different fight. All right, so that's what got your purpose and passion a little bit, like, or the reason behind starting some martial art. But how about coming to the states and getting involved with jujitsu matches here, and then teaching, all throughout the country and other places. Maybe I don't even know how much you did or did not
Yep.
teach some of the courses outside the United States too. So.
Well, I think that, like most of us that train jiu-jitsu, we get very passionate once we discover jiu-jitsu. And that's what
Mhm.
happened to me. It's like, wow, this art is beautiful. It's so empowering. And he gives us so much that I'm not even going to talk about the benefits, because I'm assuming that you guys already know. So that's why you're hearing this.
Mhm.
Um, and then I was like, I want to give this to other people too.
Yeah.
We all called to do, bro. We train, even if you train for 6 months, we're like, oh, I want to teach someone. Like, we want to share. And that's what I started doing after my competition journey. And then I was very passionate about it. I associated myself with big organizations, and under the premise that the goal was proliferate jiu-jitsu. The goal was jiu-jitsu for every person in the world. And I was like, man, I second that. I'm all in. And I did that, and I became a better teacher, and I evolved in these circumstantial metrics of life.
Mhm.
But at the end of it, I realized that that was not necessarily true. That there's no, like we said before, there's power structures that they happen, in organizations, in federations, in the belt system, even in even in family power structures, that
Yeah.
there's potential for corruption if the ones managing it don't have the best interest of the individual over the organization. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was.
So this is interesting too, right? So I think people are promised when they come to jujitsu, and I'm guilty too. I am a business owner, and I don't necessarily have a guarantee or a promise, but we push. I should say that we push. I push the hard physicality of a workout, or learning my Krav Maga that I teach, and we supplement that with grappling and striking. That doing the hard and having success and failures in the physicality leads to understanding mental and being able to succeed in other areas of your life, and that we use this as a tool to help us.
Mhm.
As a coach, I'm a performance coach. I'm going to argue now that Evandro is now a performance coach, or whatever you want to refer to yourself, right? I don't like to gurus and, whatever, right? I'm a coach. I'm Dennis. You're Evandro. You're here to help people. But do the associations and do the people that's what they do. Most places that just teach jujitsu are just jujitsu. They're not also doing what Evandro does as a coach now, or what Dennis does as a coach. So they're saying jujitsu is the end all. Like, it's going to make everything better, right? Jujitsu alone. This is what I'm hearing from you. Like, the next belt, stay on the next gi, go to this tournament. This is kind of what I'm hearing in some of your videos that you've made, right? But sitting back, that's not integrated. It's not also working on yourself in other areas that's working some physical. But what specifically can you be doing for mental, whether that's yoga or meditation or journaling, a retreat, for mental and emotional control? What are you doing with regards to relationships, right? What are you doing with regard to business, whether that's a business that you own or your house, right? How are you taking that and applying it to other things? So I'm not too much talking from me, but I hope that gets you, because I know this is part of what fired you up.
Yep, that's the core of it.
Yeah.
And I think that my pursuit, Dennis, is to attempt, and I know that I'm a limited human being and I have my own flaws, but it's to attempt to get closer to the truth. And I believe that jiu-jitsu was the truth. The jiu-jitsu saved my life, and the jiu-jitsu gave me confidence. And the jiu-jitsu did all those things for me. I believed the slogans of the jiu-jitsu industry. It was not only after 20 years inside that I was able to break through it. And I was like, oh, hold on. Let me start asking some questions. When someone says jiu-jitsu is the end all, who does that really benefit? Does it benefit the end user, or does it benefit the industry? When someone says, oh, you need to get a black belt or a purple belt or whatever belt or stripe, who does that really benefit? Does it benefit the individual, or does it benefit the industry? So you guys don't even have to believe me. I highly actually encourage my clients and my friends, don't believe me. I just want to empower you with the courage to ask questions. And more important than that, the courage to look yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. To the sake that we use jiu-jitsu to get out of addictions, and I love that. It's amazing. But then that becomes an addiction in and of itself. So now you depend on jiu-jitsu. It can. And now, at the moment that you guys depend on jiu-jitsu, now you are in the hands of the industry, because now, and that's why they preach, you need jiu-jitsu. Oh, we're gonna quit jiu-jitsu. What do you mean you want to quit jiu-jitsu? Jiu-jitsu saved my life. Jiu-jitsu gives you power. And because we believe these slogans, that jiu-jitsu gives discipline, that jiu-jitsu makes you healthy, that jiu-jitsu makes you a better person, by believing these slogans, we automatically, Dennis, believe that the person in charge of jiu-jitsu carry those traits that they promise. And that's not necessarily true. They're great fighters. They can choke people. They can even teach classes, but that does not necessarily come with what I call the real benefits of martial arts, which is basically character, values, virtues, and the courage to stand up for that, because that's, like you said, is the tool. Jiu-jitsu becomes a tool for you to defend that.
So it's interesting too. I think, again, this is my perspective, Dennis's perspective, right? We all have one.
Please.
I see a lot of that in kids programs. We see kids, like, in order to get a belt or a stripe on their belt, that they have to do something or talk or speak in front of people, write a paper, or do something associated with one of those character traits, perhaps. And then we lose it. So I'm in law enforcement, 30 some years, right? Military, 35, 36, whatever, right? My whole life has been devoted towards service to others.
Yes.
No different than we used to when I was a kid, have a flag in every room of the school and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
And I strongly believe, like in law enforcement, you need to be retaking your oath every year. So it's almost like something's missing, like along the path too. Like what are we other than the physicality of the jiu-jitsu?
That's beautiful.
What are we doing on whatever rhythm, right, to also instill all the other character traits? Now, and I know I've heard from you and others,
Mhm.
others that I've interviewed, others that have my gym, others I've trained with, right? Some of those best conversations of character perhaps could come after the dojo. It's closed. We're talking after that, right?
I agree.
But that's not formalized. Everybody's not there. You probably could do a better job at having those things, right? If you kind of if you made it part of your program.
True.
It's
You
it's
said
it's
something. You said about like the officer redoing the oath, right? So if you see
Mhm.
the officers, their title, and then they have an oath in order to perform that job, and that's the same thing to jiu-jitsu. You have jiu-jitsu and have people going to the class and doing the techniques. Now, the expansion of this conversation is like, what does that officer, in your case, what do they even themselves stand for? Why are they even there? Are you here to make a little bit of money? Are you here to, because you couldn't enter somewhere else? Like why, Dennis? Why do we wake up in the morning? That's the
Yeah.
primordial question. What do we stand for? What is more valuable to us?
What lights our hair on fire every day, whether I have
What?
hair or not? Well, I
That's
got,
it.
I got a lot of friends without hair, right? Whether I have it, what lights my hair on fire? And it comes back to the coaching aspects of like what I do in coaching. I ask everyone, and they have to write it down. Who am I? It comes back to what you said earlier, right? I am a male. I'm in my 50s. I'm a law enforcement professional. I'm a father, right? I mean, I'm mortal. I'm going to pass away, right? And so we can write
Wow.
these things down and
Yes.
realize who we are. In addition to that, our purpose, our passion, our principles, our character, what we stand
Yes.
for, et cetera, right? And
100%.
but see, and again, jujitsu's providing a piece of that. It's the physicality behind it, but this is again where um at the end of the day, it's a small piece unless you're going to do other things in your life to help grow in all areas of your life.
Yep. They
So
say that
so
jiu-jitsu makes you a better person, but it doesn't. Your choices, choosing in alignment with your values and what you stand for, makes you a better person. You can be a black belt and you can be a terrible person. You can be a white belt and be a great person. And it's interesting because you talk about time, and I ask this to people sometimes. It's a very enlightening question, but you talk about we're gonna die. We're all gonna die. I have, who knows? Maybe I'm gonna die today. Maybe I'm gonna die in 50 years. Doesn't matter. But I have an X amount of clock time, literally
mhm,
clock minutes of my life. Okay,
mhm.
and they're running out. Fine. No stress, no anxiety. Beautiful. So how can I best utilize from the human resource, which is human life value and human life time? What I am standing up against, Dennis, passionately, is that most of us, we spend this time watching UFC or IBJJF or false champions, sensationalism. Oh, which one is the best technique? Like, you can ask any jiu-jitsu practitioner, even you guys listening right now, how many literal hours you spent talking about belts and stripes and promotions and little adjustments of techniques last year. Like, it's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And how did that actually literally lead you? Did that light you up on fire, or are you using those conversations more for a distraction because you're tired from work, you fought with your wife, and then better than alcohol, we should talk about techniques. And I agree, you see what I'm saying? But did that just became one more of the things that you used to just relax? Let me just see these people punch each other in the face on the UFC, so I can
Yeah.
and seeing
So
people like whoa,
the question what I'm
whoa,
hearing is it becoming helpful? It's too much of an addiction. It's too much listening to the master. It's too much of this. And they're wanting that, right? They're saying this is the
yeah.
answer. That's what I'm hearing your message to be, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I question then is because
Mhm.
I used to believe that my masters, let's call them my mentors, they
Mhm.
were naive to this. I used to believe that they were like just really trying to help me because you know what, Dennis, there's a lot of good, honorable men that are black belts and their own schools, a
Yeah.
lot of them. So I used to think that my mentors were like that. They just don't know any other solution, so they're doing the best that they can. What I've learned is that although there's a lot of good, honorable men there owning schools and jiu-jitsu gyms, the people above them in the industry and in the power structure, they know what they're doing. They will perpetuate the industry over the individual. It's a generational wealth machine
So
like
this is
other
this and
industries.
this is why I'll jump in there too. Look, I
Okay.
mean, no. I've listened to podcasts before from others specifically on Helio Gracie on the belt system, right?
Okay.
And there used to only be two belts, right? we all, I guess everyone wore a white belt, and it became black because it just got dirty, right? I mean,
That's
that
pleasant
was the
stats. Yes,
that was the professor, right?
that sounds very good, actually.
And look, but for business systems, there's belts, there's testing fees, perhaps at schools, right? I don't have belts. I teach, my grappling program is a grappling program that's added to our Krav. Look, that's just my business. So anyone can do whatever they want in their business, right?
I agree.
It's their business. I do have levels because you kind of have to, there are some basics still. There's some more advanced techniques, right? You have to learn some principles, and it's still skill building. You can't just jump into something that's very advanced without knowing something that's more of a basic principle, right? But we see a lot of it automatically leads, I think, to some of the issues that you're saying that the business structure has created.
Let me tell you this, Dennis. Businesses are beautiful. I came from Brazil, in a place in which there's no free market as we know here in America. You know what I'm saying? Here in America, if you work and you provide service, you get paid, and that's beautiful. You can charge as much as you want. To work with me, you have to pay. That's it. That's how I serve my family. There's nothing wrong with capitalism to the sake of people knowing that it is a business transaction. My war today, Dennis, is against the invisible lies that happens in the jiu-jitsu industry. And just so you guys understand, martial arts is very tribal. It's very much kind of, man, I got your back, Dennis. Like law enforcement. We're going to die together. I'm not leaving no man behind. You're my brother. At the moment they wear the same uniform or that you're in the gym, you're my brother, your family. We need to do that as warriors on the battlefield. We need to have that sense of like, man, this guy is it's my left arm. I cannot lose him. I'll protect him with my life. So the martial arts have that. So it's beautiful. Now, the business aspect sells that. Say, hey, guys, we're brothers, we're family, we're here, enhance each other, blah, blah, blah. But they are operating from business tactics. You see the dissonance? It's not matching. So people enter because we are, especially as men, I cannot speak for a woman because I'm not a woman, but as men, I know that we're called to be part of this brotherhood. We're called to belong with like-minded men that care similar values. So we enter, it's like, man, I want to be part of this. So as we enter and we follow their lies, we ended up 10 years down the line, realized there was all a business plot that promised brotherhood, that promised empowerment of the individual, that promised family, but at the moment that is no longer convenient for the business, cut out, done. Next client.
And I have a personal story too. I was not expecting to share it with everyone today, but I'm going to. All right. And so I've had that happen to me firsthand.
Okay.
So within an association where I reached the very top elite level of the association, becoming the director of the US, right? But I want to be able to grow myself and my business and my students more. Okay. Yet you have the cutoff that you mentioned. I can't make my own podcast. I can't make my own videos. I can't post stuff myself on Facebook or social media, right? Because that's not in alignment with the other person that taught me. I can't share their techniques, even though you gave me an education, right? You gave me an education. Whether that's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, a triangle, an armbar, it's not, look, everyone's doing a triangle and an armbar. There's nothing secret about whether that's any, I mentioned Gracie. It could be any association, right? Peter Sauer, Machado, what you name it, okay? Or a different Krav association, right? But again, when you're no longer in alignment with the business owner because you're trying to maybe grow yourself, not take business away. There is plenty of jiu-jitsu to go around. There's plenty of martial. And to me, that's only going to grow so we can actually meet what you said earlier. If we could reach 1 million people, right? There's 300 million people. If instructors can all reach 5,000, 10,000, and we're just growing jiu-jitsu or growing martial art, growing fitness, growing health and wellness.
Yeah, there's no ceiling, you're saying.
There's no ceiling. Yeah. But we have some of what you mentioned, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that most people, they don't know what we mentioned right now because they're not there yet. And it's very interesting. If you had any success by becoming better than someone, it could even be if you're a white belt and you became better than a blue belt. Their response is the same response that when you are black belt and become better than the black belt. And that could be physically because I can choke the guy, or that could be intellectually because you are charismatically. There's just this primal thing inside of us that if we don't tame, if we're not honest about like that, there is greed inside of my heart. There is desires inside of my heart. But me as a capable man attempting my best every single day to not become the oppressor myself. It's very hard to do, Dennis.
So I think, and I don't know, look, I'm guessing in what I'm about ready to say is within your heart. It's within my heart. It's reality of life.
Mm.
If we look at a clock, we're part of the clock. Your master or those that you've learned from are already later in the day. It's 8 p.m., right? Like noon. You're behind them learning, right? You have more,
Okay.
you're probably younger in most cases, right? You're still learning technique, you're learning skill principles, things, right? And at some point you become an instructor. And then you have people behind
Yep.
you. But
Yep.
now they're at 6 a.m., right?
Mm.
They're at 6 a.m. And eventually the master starts to fade. It's 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And eventually they're no longer here. Right. So and then those people you're teaching, you're at 6 p.m. They're at 10 a.m. You know, so
Yes.
as we see the world turn here, this is also how we push and we keep martial arts in the world, right? From one
Yeah.
generation to the next. That we're passing it on from master who someone you learn from, people that you're teaching, and then maybe they teach their even if they teach their daughter some techniques to defend themselves, right? Or
That's
whatever it might
perfect.
be. It
Yes.
continues to give, right?
Yes.
And what I'm hearing a little bit then too is that not everyone's coming to the table maybe with like that belief that I'm here to help people. And it's look, some
You know
people
what,
if
Dennis?
if you want to make money, you can sell a charcuterie board on Amazon.
True.
You know what I mean? But I think to some extent people lose the reason why they're doing this every day is also what I'm hearing
True.
from you.
Actually, I'm working on a mini ebook that I'm going to make available for everyone for free. Actually, that I call the Martial Arts Matrix. And I was actually writing about that this morning. It connects to your analogy, which is my understanding that we were oppressed one day, or we had this fear and inadequacy, right? We were a child, like children. We depend on our parents to give us food. Some of us don't even have the parent, so life is rough. Okay, and then we are on the oppressed side. When we learn martial arts, for a period of time, like you said, from 8, 9, 10 p.m., you become empowered. You're no longer oppressed. But as the time keeps going, you are about to lose that power. You have to give it back. You have to give it away. So because even the one that starts as an oppressed, and then he got empowered through martial arts or through any other activity, fitness or whatever, once that fear knocks at the door, that might become weaker than his students, that he might become older than the student, that he might lose students and have less money, then that fear alone, if the person is not willing to let time pass and go back to the end of the line in many other aspects, then they try to stop the clock. They take the battery off, and then that's where the lie starts to happen because they are afraid of going back to being oppressed. Because I think that if you're real with yourself, which is my attempt to do, we all have that fear. Like, man, what if my students become better than me and open the schools and take my students because he's now younger and better than me?
This is the thing though. I want my to become better than me.
Fair.
Okay, I do. This is because I know it's going to happen. Eventually, I hope to be 90 years old someday.
Well,
Right?
but that's because you're willing to let time pass, Dennis.
Yeah.
But you see how easy it is to cling to your position of power, and that's why they don't inspire anymore, or that's why they create new belts, or that's why they told you
I got
I
to
open a
jump. I
podcast.
got to
Please.
jump in here too, right? Because I
Please.
had one of a very specific person that I never, ever other than some exercise, ever participate in our surprise attacks for Krav Maga.
Okay.
Demo techniques, but never actually did. I will never ask a student of mine to do something that I've never done. And I'm sure he's
Okay.
done it in the past. And I'm no longer who I was 5 years ago. Like, I'm older. So I've lifted a lot of heavy weight. I've lost mobility. There's plus we go through ups and downs. You could be injured, whatever it might be, right? So
Yes.
I maybe I can't do 20 burpees a minute for 10 minutes anymore, right? But maybe I can do 15, right? As a coach, I meet the person where they're at. I take someone in their 60s, and I don't care if they can do 5 burpees in a minute, as long as they're doing their personal best. So I know as a coach that I'm also not I'm eventually not going to be who I was, but I still have the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities to teach. And I hope other people get better. Some of those may pass you, some of those may not pass you. They may be at a level where they're never going to get because of their physicality, right? And who they are.
True.
But they're still stronger. They still know the art. They feel better about doing it, defend themselves. And again, that's a piece. If they want other coaching to work on other things in their life, they can, right?
Yes, and you're very honorable to behave like that, and you understand, and you're wise, and that's the whole thing, because that's beautiful. I would still be doing that.
But this is also why I wanted you here today too, and because I think this is again, no one's having this discussion that you're having. No
Why?
one.
Okay, let me say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I'm realizing: we enter jiu-jitsu with the promise to be empowered, to be all right. When I know how to fight, I'll be able to speak my truth, the truth that the song that I have in my heart that I don't speak because I'm afraid of being attacked verbally or emotionally. And then we enter jiu-jitsu with that promise, like we've mentioned. Now we learn arm locks and we learn leg locks and we learn incredible techniques, but we also learn to obey. We also learn how to not speak up. We learn how to, hey, you have to bow to that guy that you don't know. We learn subtle little things, like when you graduate, someone chokes you in public to demonstrate a little superiority, just a little nudge. So a lot of people are like, oh, no, that doesn't mean anything. That he doesn't take, or they belt you in Brazil, is like belting you. No, that doesn't mean anything. That's just a little ritual. Is it really? Because what does that imply? That implying that you cannot, like that you're a little less. Hey, even though you got, not yet. Even though you got, not yet. So in these 10 years, let's call it, that we're learning how to empower ourselves, we're also learning how to not say anything and how to abide from our own power. So it comes invisibly, and that's what I'm against, because jiu-jitsu is all about, like you said, we were talking before, you said it's all about personal decision. It is all about personal decisions. And the crazy thing that people are afraid. People are calling me privately, Dennis. I agree. But they're afraid of losing students. They're like, Evandro, I cannot say that. I cannot share your post because I'm going to lose students and my family depends on the income. So then I'm like, hey, hold on. So which one? It is hard. It is not easy.
So that's not living in alignment with who you are, right? As a coach,
Wow.
as a person, right?
And what are the consequences of living in this inner conflict, Dennis?
It could be a lot. It could be getting to the point where you end up in a hotel with a rope around your neck. It could be where you're drinking. It could be where you devote a whole lot of time towards just that one thing and it becomes an addiction and you're losing it. One of the biggest things that I've learned, right, that I promote in my coaching is balance. So I have 4 areas that we cover: body, being, balance, and business. And the balance and the balance piece is, I think, what's missing in a lot of people's lives. And it's balance is relationships. Balance is the relationship that you have with yourself. Balance is the relationship that you have with your spouse, your children, your parents, if they're still here. Balance is with those that you said, even, right, that I go to work every day, my squad. Yep. The love I have for them every day I go to work, right?
Yep.
And my sergeant, which would be like the professor, right? Whatever that might be like in the dojo, right? It's interesting, and I think people have to give it thought. So let's transition a little bit here. I said I wanted to mention this before we got on the. No, if you have something else to go for it. But
I have a place to go over here. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna speak as it comes, Dennis. So
Yeah,
please
yeah.
bear with me.
Bring it. Bring it.
You mentioned your sergeant, right? Let's just use a hypothetical scenario. Could be your boss. Could be the person that is listening to news. Oh, it's my boss. When we are faced with someone with perceived power over us in a hierarchy structure, and we disagree with it, the hierarchy structure exists for a reason, because they know better at that moment, and you follow because you are a soldier, and because we respect that leader. That's basically how it's supposed to be, right? I respect the one that I call my leader, and I'm going to follow this guy because at this moment in his life, he knows better than I do. And I'm fine with that. My daughter, same thing. Sometimes she says some things. I'm like, no, I got you. I don't care what you're going to do. It's going to be my way right now because I lead you, because I have her best interest in heart. She doesn't know that yet.
Best interest of mine. Yep.
Yeah, I really do. It's my daughter. It's my own blood. Now, what happens, and that goes back to my thing, when we go to the workforce or we enter law enforcement or jiu-jitsu or whatever, the instructor, and here's what I'm here to tell you, I don't know if they have your best interest at heart. So their decisions, when you don't agree, and you agree with something that you don't agree, you're training, ignoring your inner voice. The only thing you can trust in this planet Earth. And I'm not talking about desires of the flesh. I'm not talking about your impulse. I'm talking about that voice of like, oh, wow, that doesn't feel right. But I cannot say anything because he's my boss or because he's my sergeant or because he's my black belt. And we all have been there. And that's fine because there's that conflict, right? So martial arts, originally speaking, my understanding, is to give power to that inner voice. So you can act. Even if they're going to fight you, you act. You take a stand. You stand your ground like a man, like a warrior. And in the workforce or in the law enforcement or in the jiu-jitsu, it's no longer about that because we cannot trust them. But also, I cannot say anything because then my boss is going to fire me. You see, that's the conflict. And that's why I really believe that us as warriors, one as men, one as law enforcement officers, or third, one as men, two as law enforcement officers, three as martial artists, and that's my transition. That's why I call heroes, right? All of these people, we need to become heroes. And we believe that heroes are those that, people sing songs about Achilles and Leonidas and whatever heroes you have in your mind. Now, here's the insight, Dennis. You do not have to be recognized to become a hero. There's a lot of heroes that we don't hear songs about that they did the right thing when the time is right and they got shot in the face or they got speared through their chest and they died right there and then. That was still a heroic act. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to be recognized. You don't even need to be seen. Think about it. Someone enters my house. I stand in front of my wife. I take a bullet. My wife was sleeping. Let's pretend. I take a bullet and I die. My wife didn't see my heroic act. The thief ran after no one saw. Was I a hero? Yes, because I died doing the right thing. No recognition, no nothing. Depends on anyone. Depends on no circumstance. You don't have to be a black belt to do the right thing. You don't have to be fit.
I love it. I love it because this is your stand. So again, part of my coaching, we talk about your stand. What is your stand in life? Individually, if you own a business, you should have a stand. Your business should have a stand written down. What I stand for, who we are, what we do, what we promote, how we create people, right?
Yes, sir.
No different than a business. They might refer to it differently, right? Instead of a stand, but law enforcement in general has an oath, right? So again, that's their stand.
Yes.
So I love it too, because I've heard the term before, right? Everyday heroes, like law enforcement, everyday heroes. So look, a parent is an everyday hero to their child. Me on the streets, right? I'm an everyday hero to the people, the problems that I'm helping solve on every call I go on. Not always, can't make everybody happy. Okay.
Yep.
But we do things unseen, hopefully everyone, because we're good people, right?
Yep.
We have hopefully good intentions, but not always. So as that person, right? We have to do they have my best interest in mind? And look, this as a coach, when I coach people, this is huge. Now, see, the conversation's starting to explode now.
Good.
When I'm working on something with a client, which we're going to get to transitioning here in a second with working on clients and how you came to be where you're at today,
Okay.
I ask them that, who do you share with? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Are you sharing with your brother, your sister, your father, other persons? Because if you're having conversation, if you want to lose 20 pounds and you have a coach to help you lose 20 pounds, and they're like, well, you're going to need to be here 3 nights a week. You're going to have to develop whatever. You're not going to be able to eat out anymore. You're going to have to do these things. So I'm dedicated to my coach. I'm dedicated to myself. But the loved one has their own interest in mind. But then, Evandro, you and I are going to miss date night on Friday having pizzas.
Mm.
Right? We're going to miss. We're not going to be able to watch TV 3 nights a week. You're going to be out of the house. So everyone else has an interest in you as well. Just like
Fair.
the business you're talking about, it's the business, right? And if they were open about it, is some of, again, what I'm hearing your issues are, right?
There's no problem having your personal interest at heart. There's no problem of being selfish at times. My problem is with the lies. Is to preach A and act as B. I think that's deceiving, and I'm very much against deception because you rob people from the opportunity to choose. You're saying something so good, and let me add to what you said real quick, Dennis. You said, "Oh, we're a hero for our family and for our daughter, for our wives, and for our work," and I love that. The one insight that I want to share with everyone listening right now is that when you look yourself in the mirror, are you the hero for yourself?
Yeah.
Because as a man and as a law enforcement officer, it's very easy to go, not very easy, don't get me wrong. When you have that fire of a warrior like you do, Dennis, it's easy to go protect others. But are you protecting your inner voice? Are you standing up for yourself? Are you eating good food and living on fire? Are you, Dennis, the version that your 12, 14-year-old boy envisioned yourself to be? Or you forgot that?
Yeah.
Or you got corrupted,
Yep.
and now you're numbing, and then all the addictions come. Because the cool thing is that person still exists, even if you lost it. And the amazing thing, as a man, you can take that back. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible.
So this is the good transition, right? So what have you done? First of all, this doesn't happen like this. You might have had a specific incident which got you to be here, which I know you do, but it still led up. I think, like men in general, we let things build up inside us, and then steam, right, comes out, right? You get too much of not sharing, not talking about it, whatever, right? So what did you do? How long did it take you to realize where you're at today? Did you do any visualization or thinking, about like daily, every day? Like, did you start to do more of that? Did you do it weekly? Did you journal? Did you meditate towards it?
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
All of those things, 100%, Dennis. Very, very important. More important than jiu-jitsu itself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, Dennis, that something interesting happened when I was a child and I was a teenager fighting on the streets. And what happened was I saw evil. I saw something wrong happening. And I decided to fight, even though I was clearly going to lose. So I was fortunate, I want to say, that I stepped beyond a line. There's a line on the floor. The law enforcement called the blue line. I'm just going to call it this willingness line. And when you step beyond this line, you're ready to die. And you don't expect to come back. You're like, okay, I'm dead. I'm just going to do that thing because it's the right thing to do. And once you step beyond the line, I happen to not die. So I'm alive. I'm very glad for that. But when I came back, I did not came back the same man. I came back living as if already dead. And that's when the visualization happens, because now I'm willing to stand. Like, if I was willing to stand up for that and die for that, now of course I'm willing to stand up for myself. Things becomes easier. And then I use jiu-jitsu as a weapon, and then we do fitness and all the other things. And to answer your question, how long it took me to realize this, when I was deep blind by the jiu-jitsu community, I thought the jiu-jitsu was doing that for me. So I would go home, I would visualize, I would meditate, I would journal, I would self-reflect, I would spend hours looking myself in the mirror and saying, Evandro, what do you want? What are you doing? Who are you really? Like the primordial question of martial arts. I don't want to become Zen or mystical or anything like that, but it's like, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing with my life? Just questions too. You don't even have to answer them. Just ask them and let your body do the rest, right? So I realized I was doing all those things on the back end, but because I was unaware of how powerful they were, no one was telling me that those are good things. Only people were telling me jiu-jitsu is the good thing. So then I was like, oh, it must be jiu-jitsu. It must be jiu-jitsu. It must. And although jiu-jitsu does that, when you're getting choked, you enter a state of meditation. When you attacking, you enter a state of meditation. So those things happen inadvertently. But that's kind of what it is. There's incredible benefits to jiu-jitsu, and there's all these things that you mentioned on the back end that they will shortcut your access to power. Literally, right now, if you guys can do the exercise, write on a paper. Who my 12-year-old self thought I was going to be today? Am I that person? And then start writing. Write a whole page or for at least 20 minutes. That's a meditation exercise. You'll be surprised when you hear it.
I have one on the back end. Instead of writing like the 12-year-old who you're going to be, I actually have one. And this was extremely difficult for me. But you write your own epitaph. You write your own leaving the world. This is who so you talk about, right? So you're writing your own you're writing your own obituary.
Yes. Oh wow, love it, bro. I call that a beautiful death. That's what I teach my guys on the fifth book. On the last exercises is write what would be a beautiful death to you? Would it be on Instagram and fat and lazy, or would it be defending someone on the streets, defending your family, starting a business? Look what a beautiful death. Starting a business for something you really believe, trying to serve yourself and the community around you, and failing and starving to death. Done. At least you did what you were called to do, instead of what? Sitting on the couch and watch football. Or watch jiu-jitsu competition.
So that said,
yes.
I think we're to the point where I'll ask the question again. Who are you today? Is there, or when I say who, again, I get that I'll come back to you haven't changed, or you've identified that I'm the same person, but we can still have different purpose. We can still have some different passion. So right now you have some focus. I've been told before from different coaches, and I think I got them to change their mind. I can have a purpose within my family. I can have a purpose at work. I can have a purpose at my business, right? So I definitely believe you can have more than one purpose in life. And sometimes your purpose will change over different things as you go along the way, right? On your path, on your journey through life. So what is the purpose today? I know we have some things that we're focusing on with regards to coaching and nonprofit and some other stuff. Maybe it takes us to that part of the conversation a little bit too.
Well, I realized, Dennis, that there's nothing inherently bad with any actions or habits or purpose that we choose to life. We get to choose them. And I really believe that that's what I'm standing up for right now, which is to give people the ability to choose. Just to remind them that they're more powerful than they think they are. That once they get the money, or when they get the belt, or when they get the recognition, or when they get the promotion, or when they get the retirement, that the purpose will not arrive automatically. It can arrive right now. You just have to make a decision within yourself. And that's why lies prevents us from doing educated decisions, because we don't know the truth. So you mentioned purpose. There's a few purposes in my life. There's three, actually. Social project in Brazil. Actually, first is my family. Then social project in Brazil. Then this movement that I'm doing for jiu-jitsu. But more important than my purpose on that sense is, am I doing those things on purpose? You see the difference? It's my ability to choose at any given time who I'm going to be, how I'm going to spend my lifetime clock, like we talked about.
How you show up in life.
How do I show up in life? And yeah, if I die right now of a heart attack, done. Perfect life, no regrets. I repented for the things that I did. I confess the mistake that I did, and today I attempt to live the closest possible to my values. And this is what I teach my guys. What are your values? What are you willing to die for? What are your dark values? What are a beautiful death? What is a life that is not worth living? Yeah. And then clarity. And when we have clarity, Dennis, just to conclude, then you can choose on purpose. And that's the key word of martial arts, purpose.
You can be purposeful in your actions that we take, right? So,
yes.
And I'm in better because I'm in alignment with my stand, my purpose, passion, and principles, right?
Yep. I call that think, feel, and do.
But
and do in alignment.
Think, feel, and do. Think, feel, and then do.
Yep. Yeah. If that's in alignment with your actions, then you're not in inside conflict, like my friends are calling me, and then that's
so. It comes back to this too, right? again, no one's here arguing that jujitsu is bad, right? We're not. That's not conversation. I'm promoting it. You're promoting martial art, right? Promoting
Yes.
fitness, promoting wellness, right?
Yes.
But I think what I'm hearing too, both of us say that's awesome, but more is needed. Like I still need a coaching aspect in my life in order to grow in other areas, whether that's, again, I have my coaching, I have four pillars, right? Body, being, balance, and business, and we break those down into physical, mental, emotional wellness, and et cetera. So
Yep.
what I'm hearing is that it's not enough. Jiu-jitsu is still not enough. It's a piece, right? It's a great piece. And
Well,
outside of the issues that we see within jiu-jitsu, it's helped, realize that there's lies, there's oppression, there's other things, right, that can get you too involved down a rabbit hole, right?
yes, sir.
And then maybe that's taking you away from having balance in your life, like my coaching, like too, right? So I'd like to maybe move then to awesome family. Tell us a little bit about the nonprofit, and then like any type of what we're doing with jujitsu from this point forward, like coaching, and how people would come to talk to you about more of this and like a men's coaching type program. Let's start with the
Yep.
nonprofit.
Okay. So yeah, you're spot on. Is that and the core is jiu-jitsu alone is just a weapon. The warrior does not need the weapon. The weapon needs the warrior. You don't need jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu needs you. The industry needs you. That's why they're going to keep you there for as long as they want. But you can imagine this picture: a Spartan warrior walking, holding a sword. Jiu-jitsu is the sword. You can drop the sword. You steal the warrior. No matter the circumstance, you can still take a stand for yourself. And that's what I'm doing with the social project. I believe that I split my jiu-jitsu in two facets. One is the physical practicality of jiu-jitsu. That's what people think that's all the jiu-jitsu is. And I'm doing that in a social project in Brazil to the best of my ability. And that to people that have access to no knowledge and to very scarce ways of living. And I really believe that weapon will give them a chance to fight real oppressors, so then they can come to this side, which is to have this mental and more balancing and other things, because there's a lot of people that don't even have the basics. So there's no core four for them. There's nobody being balanced in business because they're in scarcity of food or they're in scarcity of violence, right? So that's where my jiu-jitsu technical is going right now. And then the other aspects for us here in America that we live in abundantly, we have a roof, we have water, we have cars and avenues and safety on the streets because of officers like you and your peers that are protecting us so we can come and go. So then we can enter this more quote unquote philosophical side, or this more awareness side of who are we really and how we can take a stand for ourselves and be the hero of our own lives. That's where I am.
So I know you have 5 books out. They're
Yep.
they're electronic formatted.
Yep.
It's I could be wrong. I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's like where someone would start right now with you, right?
Yep.
By obtaining that program and working through those books, right?
Yeah, real quick. There's 5 books: the fire,
Mhm.
the earth, the air, the water, and the void. Each book talks about the benefits of martial arts. What I promise my guys is I'll give you the benefits of martial arts in 6 months or less without you having to learn all the techniques along the way. So it's all fire, spiritual conversations, but nothing like mystical or guru or like you know, without this, just cut straight to the meat. Here's the deal. This is my problem. I have a problem with pornography. I have a problem with food. I have a problem with laziness, procrastination, whatever it is, the real enemies, I call them, right? And then we work through them. You can find me on Instagram, Evandro Grateful, or Facebook, Evandro Grateful. You can send me an email, or you can go straight to my website, blindedbytheblackbelt.com. What I can promise you guys, and that's how I measure my success, is how fast can I get rid of you, to the sake that I don't want to be that psychologist or that black belt instructor that wants to keep you forever. No, come here, take the fire, expose the truth to yourself, and then bounce, because we need strong men living like heroes on the front lines of the battlefield and not hiding behind screens and competition and excuses and justifications. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you want to add a little bit more about the program, but I think that's actually an amazing spot to actually almost call it for today too, because I want people to reach out to you. I want them to learn more about what the programs are, what the books are, self-paced, meeting with you, what kind of pace, what in general it looks like, right?
Yep.
So, unless there's something else you want to share, I'll say thank you, because I want people to go to your website. I want people to go to the Instagram. I want people to go to your Facebook page, etc. Right, to check it out too and contact you to get more information on all that as well.
Well, my last words would be, you're more powerful than you know. You just have to realize that yourself. And I'll be here if you need me. And thank
Awesome.
you so much for this conversation. I really appreciate Dennis.
Yeah, you're greatly welcome. I appreciate it too. So hey, I will 100% reiterate real quickly too, the same thing here, right? As I coach people, as Evandro is a coach, right? It is not to attach someone. Look, I've had people in my gym 12 years. Awesome. If it works for you and you need it and you want to be there, awesome, right? But my objective, whether you stay 1 year, 12 years, is eventually, like, again, it comes back to the clock, the master. I want you
Yep.
to leave. I want you to leave with strategies, tools, and practices that you've gotten something great and better, that you can be in charge of yourself
and collect tangible results in your life without depending on anyone else but yourself. I love that, brother.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here, everybody. We greatly appreciate you. As always, thank Evandro for being here as well.
Thank you, Dennis.
As always, right? Train hard, train smart, train real, and train for life. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.